All right, welcome back, YouTubers. This is Inland Northwest Native News. I'm your host, Jeff Ferguson.
I'm your co-host, Margo Hill.
All right, good to see everybody. This is, we started without an intro today. We had some technical difficulties, so we weren't really sure what was going on. But it looks like we're doing pretty good here. We are all right. So, we have some good stories today, and we actually do have an announcement. We are going to, I should say, this is probably a better way to put it. Friday will be our 50th morning show that we did. So we did 50 of them, and we're going to announce today that 50 is going to be our last. You know, it was something that we were doing to try to fill in the gaps between what we were doing with the monthly. You know, when we're going out and doing interviews with everybody at the powwows and the horse races and, you know, all that fun stuff, picking up stories on the different reservations, because we got shut down from COVID. So this was kind of something that we could do to give us some content, you know, maybe help you a little bit get through the whole COVID process. But we started looking that, things are going to be opening up again. And as things open, first of all, we're not going to have as much time to be able to do this. And then also,
because we're going to be out doing it.
Yeah, we're going to be out doing it. And we're going to be having, some of the things coming up that we're going to be wanting to take part in. So that'll be fun. That being said, I have a list of powwow announcements. This is kind of a cool thing that was sent to us by one of our loyal followers, Irv. And Irv Schluffer has been he's been a tribal... see if I'm on the wrong one. Oh, here we go. He's been a asset. He's a Coeur d'Alene elder, and he's been helping us out by sending us stories and keeping numbers on COVID. And
even filled in for me when I had to go vacation in Cabo with the girls.
Yeah, filled in for Margo, and he's been keeping his eye on Kathy McMorris Rogers and all of her efforts, or lack thereof.
Our own watchdog out there.
Our own watchdog out there.
Thank you, Irv.
Yeah, thank you, Irv. And so he sent us these powwow announcements today, and so we thought we'd share these with you. We have coming up powwow stick game tournament. This one is August 22nd in Toppenish, and 20th to the 22nd in Toppenish, and this is at Legends Casino. We're going to leave the links to this in the comment section below. We also have the 35th annual Edmonds Community College Powwow, May 1st and 2nd in Linwood, Washington, and then the Legends Powwow itself is going to be May 22nd to the 24th. That's May 22nd to the 24th down at Legends Casino in Toppenish. That sounds like a fun one. We might have to head down there for that.
Well, Edmonds Community College is my alma mater.
Yes,
that's where I got my start, over there in Linwood, Washington. So we might have to check that out.
So, so that being said, again, August 20 to the 22nd, Powwow Stick Game Tournament at Legends. The 35th annual Edmonds Community College, May 1st and 2nd in Linwood, Washington, and Legends Casino Hotel Powwow, May 22nd to the 24th in Toppenish. Thanks again, Irv, for the updates on those. So, moving right along, we have a story that is based out. This one is one I worked on when I was working with ATNI, Affiliated Tribes and Northwest Indians, and this is climate advocates go to court to block Tacoma gas plant. Now, this is the Puyallup tribe, and that right there is one of the Puyallup Tribal Council, Anna Bean. So Anna Bean has been out there at the forefront with this, with Annette Bryan and all those Puyallups, and they've been fighting the LNG natural gas dome that they built there. And so when we did the story on this, the numbers on this are incredible. There, I think, if I remember right, there was like crazy, like 250,000 people lived within a 3-mile blast radius of that facility, and then they said like 32 schools in that area, and it's like if it were to explode right there on Puget Sound, it would be like 400 times the size of Hiroshima. It's crazy, and they've been fighting it and fighting it and fighting it, and finally they're going to court over it. So the article came to us. This is KUOW, and this is John Ryan that covered this. The article reads, Dueling lawyers made their opening arguments Monday in a case that could determine whether a major fossil fuel plant opens on the Tacoma waterfront. Opponents are challenging the go-ahead that regulators gave to a Puget Sound energy plant that would supply liquid natural gas for cargo ships and other users at the Port of Tacoma. Now, nearly complete, the 8 million gallon tank is as tall as the Tacoma Dome Arena and able to store degrees at 260 degrees below zero at Fahrenheit. It has been fought by environmental groups and the Puyallup tribe for years. The Puget Sound Clean Air Agency concluded in 2019 that the industrial scale thermos would not have a significant environmental impact because its gas would be slightly less polluting than the oil those ships burn today. That claim is at the core of opponents' arguments for blocking the plant from opening. It's like a pack-a-day smoker who've been told they need to quit cigarettes or die, declaring that everything is fine because they've cut down from 20 cigarettes a day to 19, says Jan Hasselman, attorney for 5 environmental organizations. He told that to the Washington Police Control Hearings Board virtual hearing. That is neither an honest nor a useful way to look at the problem. If allowed to open, the gas plant is expected to run for 40 years. The climate researchers said to avoid climate catastrophe, the world has to quickly stop building new fossil fuel plants and shutter some existing plants. So global warming is an existential crisis for everyone, according to Jeff Bridgman. Our client, the Puyallup tribe, is particularly concerned about this and sees it as a threat, frankly, to the existence and an existential threat. That's why we're here. So we'll leave the link to that story in the comment section below. It's KUOW ran a news story on that. But this is something that's been going on. They've been fighting it. They've been protesting it. I actually did some video work for AT&I on that, and it was really interesting. We went on a tour of the reservation, and they showed us the impact it would have. And one of the things that they put out there, gosh, I can't even remember. How did that go? Their insurance for that facility was something like, they had like $5 million in liability insurance or something crazy like that. When in fact, if that sucker blew up, you're talking in the billions it would cost, and they'd never be able to overcome that. It would level everything in a 3-mile radius.
That's what I was going to say. It's right there at the Port of Tacoma,
Yeah.
right? There's ships and homes and people right by the Tacoma Dome.
Yeah, and they built it actually on the largest phosphate plume. It's an EPA Superfund cleanup site that never got cleaned up, and they built it right on top of that. So if that sucker went up, that would contaminate all that water, the passageways for the salmon. It would continue to wreak havoc on that area for generations. And it's funny because, gosh, I wish I could remember the numbers right off. It was something crazy, stupid, like, we have $5 million, or I think it was $50 million. It was like $50 million insurance on it, but yet it was a $250 million investment to build it. Give me a break. That's all you're going to do is and I asked the manager of the marina, which is directly across the water. You're talking like less than half a mile across the water from it. It's like a quarter of a mile across the water from the dome not the Tacoma Dome, but the tank that they built. And I asked him, I said, well, how much would that insurance policy cover if it were to wipe out some of these boats over here? And he said, just right off, I can think of 3 boats that would eat up that insurance policy, and that's just at this marina, not much less everything that thing
not to mention the homes and the
homes,
people.
yeah,
we're just talking a couple yachts right there at the port. 50 million.
So
so hundreds of millions of dollars at risk.
Oh,
trillions, maybe even, who knows.
I don't know about trillions, maybe billions.
Just add a little drama.
No quadrillions.
Okay, darn it. Okay, we better keep moving. So keep an eye on that. I hope they win this. It's on their ancestral lands. It is. It's actually built on one of their ancestral fishing sites. And I will say, Jeff, watching your coverage for AT&I, the company was really sneaky Pete about all of. They got all these kind of license and approval permits without going through some of the legal processes and
initially they said they were only going to service like 4 or 5 ships a week. Come to find out, it's going to be dozens of ships a week that are going to be pulling in and out of there to fill up their tanks for natural gas. And then, that it's going to bring a lot more pollution, a lot more traffic to that portion of Puget Sound. So anyhow, we better keep moving.
Yeah, so we have a MMIW announcement. Missing murdered Indigenous women. This is out of ABC 15, Arizona. Have you seen her? Yuma County Sheriff's deputies are searching for a missing teen who was last seen in Yuma Monday morning. Deputies say 16-year-old Cassandra Landeros is 5'2", has dark brown hair, brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a white tank top and blue jeans. So we're on the lookout.
So again, we run these. This is out of Yuma, Arizona. You're talking a long ways away from here, but we are at the top of the trafficking through this area. There's a lot of people that get trafficked through this area, and they come from all over the country, and they come from Canada too. So that's why we run these. You got to keep an eye out. You got to look. If you see something, say something. Anyhow, moving right along, we have another story. This one is really good. You want to talk about it?
So principal photography launches on Killers of the Flower Moon. This is a story by Jimmy Trammell. Principal photography on shot in Oklahoma movie Killers of the Flower Moon was scheduled to begin Monday, announced that the Oklahoma Film and Music Office of Apple Original Films. The film is hailing from Apple Studios, is being directed and produced by Academy Award-winning filmmaker Martin Scorsese. So we are thrilled to finally start production on Killers of the Flower Moon in Oklahoma. Scorsese said in the news release, to be able to tell the story on the land where these events took place is incredibly important and critical to allowing us to portray an accurate depiction of the time and people. We're grateful to Apple, the Oklahoma Film and Music Office, and the Osage Nation. So especially to all our Osage consultants and cultural advisors. As we prepare for this shoot, we are excited to start working with the local cast and crew and bringing the story to life on screen and immortalize a time in American history that should not be forgotten.
Yeah. That sounds like a great storyline.
Yeah.
You said you were listening to this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Killers of the Flower Moon, it's based on David Grand's best-selling novel. I'm listening to it. It was about the 1920s in Oklahoma. And it depicts really a serial of murders that happened to people of the Osage Nation. Of course, they were oil wealthy, and so there was somebody murdering Osage tribal members. And so it's very intense to listen to, but...
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that before. That's such a tragic story. People were literally murdering them for their land.
Yeah, there was just a string of brutal murders. And so they were trying to investigate this reign of terror on the Osage Nation. Wow. So we're going to find out. And Scorsese, how incredible that we have a top film producer that's working on that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That should be really good. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, we got to keep moving. We have a story here. This is Deb Haaland. Deb Haaland is back in the news again. Let's see. Deb Haaland delivers keynote address at the 20th session of the UN Forum on Indigenous Issues. So this is something that she had done. She had done this without... Oh, here it is. Yeah. She had done this without our authorization. Hey. No, Deb Haaland delivers keynote address at the 20th session of the UN Forum on Indigenous Issues. This one's Jenna Coons. This one came to us out of Native News Online. Department of Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, Pueblo of Laguna, addresses leaders from across the world at the largest global gathering on indigenous issues hosted by the United Nations on Monday to deliver a keynote address. The United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, the UNPFII, is an advisory council established in 2000 that advocates for the social, economic, and cultural rights of indigenous people. The 2-week-long forum held in a hybrid format of in-person and virtual speakers, was built around the theme Peace, Justice, Strong Institutions, and Implementing a Sustainable Development Goal to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels, Group Chair Ann Norgam said in a statement. Secretary Haaland addressed the forum via live stream from Washington, D.C., first acknowledging where she stood as ancestral homelands of the Anacostia and Piscataway, is that right? Piscataway people. Haaland said that the COVID-19 crisis had shown a spotlight on the disparities that exist in Indigenous and marginalized communities across the nation and challenged leaders to address the interlocking challenges of injustice and climate change or climate emergency. It's Indigenous resilience and worldview that every government, country, and community can learn from so that we manage our lands, waters, and resources, not just across budget years, but across generations, Haaland said. That's a great statement.
Yeah.
Again, Native News Online brought us that story, and we'll share the link for you. What a very bold, she started out with a land acknowledgement, and then she went into how important all of that is to the UN, to be able to provide that information to the UN and do that. It's really neat to see a Native woman in there and able to address on a global level. And again, this kind of thing is so important, and it goes back to vote. Get out and vote. We have a native addressing global issues at the UN now, a Native woman at that. And it's all because she got voted into office and she got supported, and it's just amazing. That's why it's so important we need to get out and share our voice. So anyhow, what do you think?
Yeah, how exciting is that? From U.S. Congresswoman to Secretary of Interior, we've had natives that were assistant secretaries, but here we finally have somebody, representation. It matters. Yeah. And so now this is on the world stage, looking at social equity issues. And like you said, we want a budget across generations, not just budget for future years, but across generations. That's planning. Yeah. You're looking out for our next 7 generations. So.
Yeah. How exciting.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we have another story here, this one coming from the Biden administration. This one, actually, it's goes on. It's still directly related to Deb Haaland.
Yeah, so the Biden administration is relaunching the White House Council on Native American Affairs as it seeks to strengthen the federal government's relationship with tribal nations. The first meeting of the revived council takes place next week. Secretary of Interior Deb Haaland, who is making history as the first Native person in a presidential cabinet, will serve as the chair of the United States government's wide initiative. The White House Council on Native American Affairs represents an important commitment to strengthen tribal sovereignty, uphold the commitment to tribal nations, and honor the United States in this nation-to-nation relationship, quote, said Haaland, who was the first Native person to lead the Department of Interior. That's really exciting. Mm-hmm. Addressing the systemic inequities that impact Indigenous people is the responsibility of every federal agency. That will require an all-of-government approach across the administration, said Haaland, who is a citizen of the Pueblo of Laguna, an Indian nation based in New Mexico.
And, that story coming to us from Indians.com. They did a great job covering that story. And this particular story is really key here. The story that we just talked about was on a global level. And you can have leadership at a global level that can make all these statements and make all these promises and still not have an effect on a local level or even national level on some in some circumstances. But by doing it this way, she's the chair of that, and she's able to address this and make it, like she says, nation-to-nation relationships, and she wants to strengthen tribal sovereignty, uphold our commitment to tribal nations, and honor the United States. And that's going to hit the ground. That's going to be, like it says in here, addressing the systemic inequities that impact Indigenous peoples is the responsibility of every federal agency that will require an all-of-government approach across the administration. What that's gonna do is it's gonna open doors in pieces of the government that hadn't been open maybe in decades or if ever. And just being able to open those doors a little bit and plant seeds here and there will get people thinking that may not have always been allies of Native American people that have pushed for things like fossil fuels and mining and all these things that are really destructive to our lands. Just to give you an example, they might have not ever had the opportunity to learn some of the true history of this country and have been living through the falsehoods that were perpetuated through the mainstream educational system throughout the country, throughout their lifetime, their children's lifetime, their parents' and grandparents' lifetime. It's something that's been going on systematically through our country. And when you can get those ideas planted, people go, they talked about the Osage. Well, what happened to the Osage? Then they start looking in, and 2 months down the road, they have been researching the Osage for the last month, and they're like, no wonder these guys are so passionate about this land or about their water, and it's those getting it all throughout the government. That's an awesome plan, and it sounds like she's got a good grip on what she's doing. So anyhow, I could ramble forever. All right.
Well, you can't ramble forever. It's 8:22.
All right. Well, we had Irv chimed in this morning. This country has had over 160 mass shootings this year. And Kathy said in one article, her heart breaks and we need to pray for the victims and their families. In one article, out of 160 shootings, that's one statement. Wow. The Bhopal disaster, I think that's how you say it, Bhopal. Have you heard of that? Bhopal disaster, referred to as the gas tragedy, estimates vary on the death toll. The official immediate death toll was 2,259 back in 2008. So that was 13 years ago. We'll pray for those guys and their families. But thanks for chiming in again, Irv. We appreciate all the things that you've done for us and helped us to get through this. So we're going to miss you, man. And, we hope to stay in touch, and maybe we'll get out and do some shooting over the summer. That'd be cool. So anyhow.
Some filming.
Yeah. Filming.
Poor choice of words.
Shooting our cameras.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah. He's always talking about shooting things. He's a photographer, so, go figure.
Yes.
But firearms are a serious issue. And unfortunately, we have way too many semi-automatic rifles and different weapons out there in the streets.
Right.
So
yeah.
We definitely need to work on that.
So let's try to get this back to where we need it to be. I wonder what the deal is.
I don't know. Should I disconnect and try again?
Maybe we'll disconnect and try again. So we have a really neat story here that we picked up. And we want to be able to share this with you guys. Hopefully that's what'll happen. Maybe it got, there it is again. Oh, you know what is, I think we have a setting over here that we.
Oh, you know what I did? I was pushing extended desktop and stuff.
Oh, where is your change? Display connected? Oh,
there you go. Yay!
All right, let's get it going. So this is a story. This one's coming to us out of Bellingham, and this is from the Bellingham Herald. They ran this story, and it's a pretty exciting piece about the fish over there. So. Oh, all right. Well, that was. Oh, can I get it before it starts? Okay, we're starting at the end. Here we go.
So for 40 years, this hatchery has supported a chum fishery. So the chum actually return here to Whatcom Creek.
Right.
They come into the hatchery ponds, up our fish ladder. We harvest the eggs and the sperm. We fertilize them. We raise their babies. You can really think of a hatchery as being a nursery, right?
Yeah.
We're just protecting the babies and when they're at their most vulnerable stage. But really, once they hatch and we make sure that they're feeding and that they're healthy, we send them out. So they spend the majority of their life out in the natural environment and really encountering all the same challenges that a native species will. And if they return, then they've made the gauntlet, right? And so those are strong genetics that we'll continue to breed with. Were approached by the co-managers and they said, we know your team already has experience with raising the Chinook, but instead of transferring them to the tribe, let's expand our production region-wide. And so the tribe will also release their own Chinook, but we will now raise and release an entirely separate group. And what's really great about that is that we started this in 2018. And just last summer, we saw some Chinook starting to return.
All right, what a great story. We really appreciate the Bellingham Herald for sharing that with us and sharing that with everybody. You know, I can't even imagine what it would be like if we did not have Native communities fighting for fish, you know.
We do it everywhere.
Billy Frank Jr., you know, back in the day, DR fighting today, you know, all over the place. The Lummies, the Colvilles,
the Quinaults,
just
yeah.
It's just amazing, you know. A lot of these fish, I think, would have been wiped out a long time ago. So we better keep moving. We do have one more story here. This one coming to us from the Quinault Nation. So over on the other side.
So a plan for a healthy Lake Quinault under development by Quinault Nation. The Quinault Indian Nation Division of Natural Resources tells KXRO that they are developing a Lake Quinault management plan to guide future management of the lake. The plan will be developed through the summer of 2021 with draft recommendations available for public feedback. This plan is said to be based on the best available science and traditional ecological knowledge and informed by input from tribal members, managing jurisdiction, and the Quinault Lake community. So tribal members and Lake Quinault community members can provide input. There's a short online survey. There's going to be community meetings and public open houses planned through all the summer 2021. And the plan is set to address activities that can damage clean water and lake health, including leakage of sewer systems, dumping, poaching, bulkhead construction, herbicide use, and invasive species such as zebra and guagua mussels and knotweed, which can be transported by boats, trailers, and other boating accessories.
Yeah, so that one is another great move by another great nation. How exciting is that? You know, I had relatives that had some property out there on Lake Quinault. My grandfather's sister, which would have made that my great auntie. Is that right?
Sure.
My great auntie. Right. So, yeah, she and her husband had some property over there, and I went back to visit that area a few years ago. Oh, gosh, it's probably four years ago now, maybe 5 years ago now. But it's beautiful. That's a beautiful area, and to see the efforts to preserve that. It had changed quite a bit. We went over there when I was a kid, and it changed substantially. There was a lot more development over there, and they had upgraded the Quinault Lake Resort and the other things that are going over there. So I was getting afraid that it was getting too populated. And this is a really neat effort by the Quinaults to do that. So anyhow.
Didn't your mom and aunties clean cabins?
They did.
Summer work?
That's where they went. They would go over there over the summer. My mom and my Aunt Jan and my Aunt Ida would go over there for the summers to earn some extra money, and they would go clean cabins at Lake Quinault. And on the weekends for fun, they would go to Queets, and they would go, they'd go dance. There was a dance hall apparently in Queets that they would go hang out in, go snagging. Hey, So, yeah.
All right.
How
Hardworking, squelly gals.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool. So I think we're about out of time. Yeah, we covered some good stories. I think overall we've covered quite a few good stories. You know, we're averaging between 7 and 8 stories over the last 49 morning shows. So that's been, you know, well over 300 stories that we've covered over the past few months. And unfortunately, we're going to miss you. It's going to come to an end. But we've got some other real on the ground, hard hitting stuff that's going to be happening this summer. And we're going to be sure to get some of the old stuff that we were able to shoot last summer, and even into the spring and over the winter. I still have some stuff from the old Salish conference stuff that I shot out there. That's really neat. I'll get that stuff edited and we'll put that up for you guys. But please be sure to join us for our final morning show, our 50th, on Friday at 8 a.m.
A couple birthday shout outs. I want to wish Whitney Moses happy birthday.
Right.
That's the daughter of Sulu Stu. And big shout out to Whitney. Also, Angelique Albert, a friend of ours, American Indian College Fund.
Yeah, American Indian
Graduate Center. Sorry,
Yeah.
American Indian Graduate Center. Angelique, thank you so much for all that you do for our kiddos. Raised a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah.
From Bezos to all the big funds that brought in there to fund our kids to go to college. So thank you, Angelique Albert.
Yeah, thank you for fighting the fight. You know, we need that education. Gives us that leg up.
That comes from, she's Salish Kootenai out of Montana. We're so proud of her. And then lastly, my dear, dear friend, Anne Marie O'Gorman Bledsoe Downs. Anne Marie, she's now at the top levels. She's an attorney. She's Winnebago. I went with her to the summer Indian law program at University of New Mexico. She's one of the top lawyers at Department of Interior, working for Secretary Haaland and right up there fighting for tribal sovereignty. So, Anne-Marie, lots of love to you. We're so proud of you. Keep doing the good work.
Yeah, keep doing the good work. All right. So, with that being said, I think that's about all we have for today.
Lum lum cheschohalt sha'uhoi. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and that's all we have for you.